All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Overwatch PIT Championships. This is EU quarterfinals, our final quarterfinal match before we move on to the winners brackets. I am Jamerson, joined once again by Sideshow, and it's going to be Laser Kittens facing off against Misfits.
This is going to be an interesting one, actually, because I have the feeling that Misfits are a team that have potential to eventually become a decent level team, and they showed flashes of it in the group stages, but overall they were very inconsistent. At times they looked like they had a real good grasp on what they were doing, and certain players were hugely stepping up, like Kib, for example, is the name that comes to mind. But in other series, they just looked like they were falling flat and didn't have a plan. So I expect the Misfits to abuse those weaknesses pretty harshly. But there is definitely potential, especially because our first map is Nepal, which has been notoriously bad for Misfits, actually, this tournament.
All right, we are going to be starting off on the Sanctum portion of Nepal also. So, as we do have the teams hovering over their picks so far, it looks like Misfits opting for a triple tank setup and possibly the same on the side of Laser Kittens, as Spazzo is hovering over that Torbjorn, but highly unlikely we're actually going to see that.
One day, Jameson.
We'll get the Orisa. You'll be able to like go up there with Winghaven with the Reinhardt, right? Just put out all the shields so he can build up his tier 2 turret. Yeah,
you're doing it, Jameson. Do it. Start main calling a team and lead them to victory with your Bastion, not Bastion, Torbjorn, Orisa strategies. You could add a Bastion in there if you want. Players to watch for me, though, Jameson, in this, if we move away from the Torbjorn talk for a second, are Nevix and Maniton. They have been playing out of their minds whenever we watch them on this particular stage of Sanctum.
All right, so yeah, we're just going to see the usual standoff here on the high ground as they are just going to go ahead and face off against each other. The Reinhardt shield battle's going on right now. But it looks like a good amount was dealt to Winghaven there. He's going to have to be careful. He has been recharging it so far, though, so it should be up to about 2,000 HP once again to Vic. Finding a nice angle to get some free damage off, and he's almost at 50% towards his tactical advisor. Charge comes out, but no kill. Getting, gonna go across. It's gonna be reinforced with the counter charge. Get the kill onto Winghaven.
Yeah, and that Zebasai being on the Zenyatta here is really interesting because his Harmony just kept Reinforced healed up, and even though they got Biotic grenaded and Reinforced got charged, he somehow had enough health throughout the whole of that to stay alive. Probably just Laser Kittens not following up on that well enough because there was a huge opportunity there for them.
Already 20% on the board for Misfits as Winghaven goes for another charge there, and this time it will connect with that nano boost. He'll be able to commit that kill onto Maniton, but a great Earth Shatter coming out from Reinforced. They've already picked up 3. That's Reinforced coming in. 4 kills for him. Great team fight for them. All they really had to commit was that Transcendence and that Earth Shatter. We do have a pause coming out, though.
Pause at the end of a team fight just to let them know how hard they got slammed by Reinforced there. No, that's Maniton timing out. But something that's interested me ever since I started watching this new Misfits lineup where they've changed some of the roles around is why they have Maniton and Nevix swap from the Roadhog and the Zarya, just seemingly dependent on the map. It must be because one of either Nevix or Maniton feels more comfortable on the role they're playing now on Sanctum. Because when they go onto different maps, it's almost always Maniton playing the Zarya, so that Nevix can play the DPS players. But even when they played on Hollywood and they used the Zarya Roadhog Reinhardt composition, they actually had Maniton on the Zarya there and Nevix on the Roadhog. So I'm not sure what's going on in terms of why they are individually choosing these heroes, but it shows a flexibility across the board. And I think it's also incredibly interesting that what we've seen so far is Zebasai playing the Zenyatta. His play on support since he moved to the primary support has been at times a bit of a liability for them when they're playing against divey compositions. Zebasai seems like he understands how to play with the rest of his team, but when it comes to defending himself and being dived upon and dealing with that and fending people off, he's lacking a little bit when it comes to Ana. Now, his Zenyatta has been excellent along with the rest of his team, but you really don't often see it in a tanky composition on Sanctum. It doesn't really have enough healing, you would think, to be able to keep these all of these tanks alive, but so far they're doing perfectly fine.
Yeah, I mean, they've already gotten 40% on the board. They're working their way towards this really good ultimate a rotation on their end. But with Manton dropping, it might be a sort of an issue. He's probably going to lose most of his charge on that whole hog there. So now, what do you do? What kinds of swap offs do you make on the side of Laserkins? Are there any real swap offs that you make, or do you just have to run this triple tank into the triple tank?
Yeah, I don't think they should be making any swap offs because although he hasn't had much impact yet, but we've only seen what, like a minute of the entire series.
Yeah.
Kib can definitely have a big performance on Roadhog. We've seen that before, particularly when they go over to like Oasis or something like that, and they're playing University where they do like to run this triple tank composition. Kib's been a bit of a monster on Roadhog when he wants to be. Like he can pull out the big performances, and he's done it as well on Genji. But his Roadhog's pretty good. Now, what they've got, the advantage that Laser Kittens have got is that they've got an Ana on the board. So Winghaven, in theory, should be able to play more aggressively and still be able to be topped up. We saw him go for that early initial pin, and then Gray threw over the Biotic Grenade, debuffed about 3 of the players over on Misfits, but the follow-up just wasn't there from the rest of their team. I felt like perhaps Crimson Nesh weren't really playing that aggressively into it. After they'd got the debuff onto everybody, trying to get damage onto everybody from Misfits, because you have to capitalize. It's basically your biggest advantage you've got is your nano boost, which can be counted on the opposing team, but the nano boost is definitely something to watch out for. Most of the time going to be on Winghaven, but the other thing is the big one is the Biotic Grenade, and if they're not playing around that, then they're not using the advantage they have, and instead all of the damage from Zebasai is just going to outweigh the fact that they have the Ana.
Right, so Manton having difficulty getting back into the game. That is what is causing this delay for now. As soon as the admins can figure out what's going on, we will be getting this match underway. I mean, we just started this match, but hey, we're already ahead of schedule. Let's just, because there is a lot more meat to talk about, let's talk about our first match, EU United versus Dignitas. Basically, did it go the way that you expected?
It did go the way that I expected, yes. But I'm still surprised that Dignitas decided to take them to King's Road. Dignitas are a team where I drew a parallel earlier when I was just chatting to you to Liquid. So I know that people in general are more familiar with the North American teams. It gets more tournaments and people talk about it more. Most of the fans in Overwatch, it seems, most of the Western fans are from North America and like watching those teams. So they are a bit like Liquid in that they were a very early signing for a large or well-known organization. Mm-hmm. They were a top 4 team, at times a top 2 team within Europe within like early to mid 2016. And then they fell off a cliff and they just fell into irrelevancy, as Liquid did for a long time. You know, they failed to win anything for ages over in North America, and now they're starting to get better. They over on Liquid side, they brought in Shadow 2K. He's now working really well over with AZK and ID. This meta seems to be a great for them. They had a really close game against Selfless yesterday in the PIT Championships as well. That game was fantastic. If you haven't seen it, although you might not think like on paper it looks fantastic, the game was incredible. So if you haven't watched that, go back and watch it. It was great. But if you draw the parallel back over to Dignitas, they made some changes a while back, and while we haven't really seen them in many tournaments and they only just started getting going, now that the triple DPS dive compositions started to come into effect, they're a team that can play that very well, but also has efficiency on the tank. So while they're not the best team at executing, they have round-the-board consistency that allows them to beat out a lot of teams.
All right, so just a quick update. Manton's internet is dead, according to Tavik, ISP problems. So I don't know if they've got a sub ready to go at this point.
Who could they bring in? They could bring in Crew. They could bring. Oh, he just rejoined TeamSpeak apparently, so they should be. That should be his internet issues solved potentially. Yeah, I was thinking of like potential guys that they could bring in. Crew, but I think. You know, I think he actually had beef with the French people on Misfits rather than the Swedish ones. So, you know, maybe he would still play for them. But he hasn't been on a top team in a while. It'd be interesting to see how some of the old Misfits guys fit into the roster. They could completely change it up. They have such flexibility on this team.
All right, so Madison is now back in the game, guys. We'll get this back underway very shortly. As soon as we get the ready-ups here, we'll get right back into it. So just to recap for everybody, we are almost at 40% in favor of Misfits here on Sanctum. And it looks like we do have the ready up. We're just waiting for Maniton to give that final confirmation, and then we'll get it underway. But yeah, that's just par for the course at this point. Whenever you do online tournaments, there's going to be someone who disconnects and has ISP problems. I had some ISP problems earlier on. Looked like I dropped a good amount of frames at the beginning of this stream, but luckily it has evened out, and now I believe, yep, we're getting the ready up firm to Vic, so we're just going to go ahead and get back into this game in just a few seconds, guys. There we go. And so, like I had mentioned, they were in a good spot on the side of Misfits before that break, but Manhattan now having to reconnect into this game completely lost all of his ultimate charge, so they're not going to have this whole hog graviton combo to work with. Tavik is getting really close to that tactical visor though.
Winghaven's going to look for this Earth Shatter as well, playing aggressively up the right-hand side, seeing if he can bait it out, but he's been hooked in already. Needs a bit of support from the rest of his team, gets that biotic grenade, and now Winghaven going to be charged down. Both of the Reinhardts trade, but that works out better for Reinforce because he's taken that ultimate out.
Yeah, ultimate out of the equation as Nesh does find that kill. They're pushing forward. It's going to be Kib getting caught out on the high ground here. Here comes the grab on the side of Laser Kids. They're going to be able to clean up 3 off of that, and they will be able to take this point back. But in the meantime, Misfits did a lot of stalling. They were able to get 83% on the board.
And they've got a huge amount of ultimates up. They've got their Earth Shatter, they've got the Sound Barrier live for both teams. And if they can avoid getting taken out by somebody who's going to receive this nano boost from Grey, then they'll be in a decent position. They've got enough time just to go for a dry push as well and force some of these ultimates out, which I expect they'll probably end up doing. I think that would be the smart play.
Most definitely. Winghaven does have to drop back a little bit. Hook comes out. It's going to be Kib getting caught out, and Nesh is now pushing forward with that nano visor after a huge Earth Shatter from Winghaven. They're going to be able to clean up Reinforce very shortly. Great team fight coming out from them, but they did have to commit 4 ultimates into that as the sound barrier was used also.
Yeah, that was actually perfect though. Misfits judged that fantastically. They get the early hook, forces out the biotic grenade, and then they use the sound barrier. They know that Spazzo is probably going to reply with his own sound barrier, but then they also use the nano visor in order to clean up the fight at the end. So they managed to force out 3 ultimates for 1 there, and now they've got a huge bank to use, and they've got another 30 seconds to execute.
Reinforced looking for the shatter. They do get caught in the graviton surge. Transcendence does come out, but it's not going to be quite enough. Reinforced will go down to that. Nevix does answer in kind though, taking out Krems.
Manhattan with the hook as well removes Spazzo from the field, and they've still got 3 ultimates to use. They've got their own graviton surge. There it comes. Players dropping all over the place. Winghaven didn't have the health or his shield up to be able to deal with that one. And as picks fly in all across the board, this is going to be recap and should be able to hold on to this as well because they have the Earth Shatter and the tactical visor.
Yeah, Nevix just had no problem hopping into the back line there to make sure he got that Ana in there. Easy cleanup coming out from them, and now Reinforced just holding aggressively here over at the choke point. Now they were able to touch the point. Krems had swapped off onto the Tracer. Sleep Dart though will leave this window of opportunity open. Hook comes out. Reinforced will fall to his death, and now they are onto the point are Laser Kittens.
Oh, Kib gets tossed to his death as well though by Manhattan. Nano boost used onto Krems. He's gonna try and pick off Manhattan, but that's a nice projected barrier, and he gets the hook again. Manhattan just getting all these crucial kills for his team, using the whole hog as well. Huge amount of damage just being vomited out by the Roadhog there. And although Nesh has got a couple of picks, it looks inevitably is going to go the way of Misfits.
Alright, Zebosai trying to trade against Nesh there. Nesh will be able to get that kill. Sombra even coming out on the side of Laserkins to try and get onto this point quicker. Now overtime is ticked down. It's in favor of Misfits right now, but it is being contested. Reinforced still holding on to that Earth Shatter.
They have so many ultimates to use here though. They've got the Transcendence. The Earth Shatter comes down as well. Winghaven brought low. A pin as Reinforced goes to his death. Goodbye. Alright then, he didn't want to partake in the victory celebrations at the end. But support ults used on both sides. Still looks like Misfits are getting the better end of it, but Manhattan's been brought down actually. There's the potential for this fight to switch if Winghaven gets back in and uses his ult, but that's not going to happen. It was too long to hold on.
Ooh, that was looking really dicey though at the end for Misfits. If it wasn't for that Earth Shatter, Reinforced coming in with a huge play there, might have just gone the other way. And so we are moving on to Village for our next map here on Nepal.
I think that was a smart play by Misfits, though. They traded time on the clock for an ultimate advantage and overall a better chance at closing out the fight. It got a little bit dicey in terms of the time at the end, but I think they always had the advantage and kept it in the fights. And that's something that Misfits are really good at, is making the smart or the optimal play in a lot of situations and then having the skill to be able to carry it out. But this time it looks like they're going for the 2-2-2 dive composition with the Winston D.Va, which a lot of the Korean teams play around. This style of D.Va where you play slightly more passive and you're more of like a peeling tank is not as popular in the West, but Misfits bringing it out.
Alright, we do have both Winstons already jumping on in, but once again, 4 divers on the side of Misfits. They are into the back line. They're going to have to back off just a little bit as Reinforce gets that first kill onto Krems. Now Winghaven's going to be the next target. Madsen cleans them up, and it's going all in favor of Misfits once again in the opening volley here.
And this is something that I don't think Western teams try enough against the triple DPS dive, is using a D.Va, like the 2-2-2 style. Because the D.Va not only does a lot of negating of individual poke damage and like can peel for supports, also deals pretty well with the solo tank Winston on the other side and frees up your Winston to go over and fight other people without having to worry about making space all of the time. So it's a nice composition that works pretty well against the triple DPS, and it's forced Krems to move on to Pharah.
Yeah, that adjustment coming on out. Krems not getting taken out of the sky quite yet. Zebosai was able to land one shot, but Madsen getting that kill onto Gray might have already just shut down this offense.
Gray and Winghaven falling. They're trying to get time on the point as well, but they're basically just ignoring Krems for the most part. Kid's the only person who's got a kill in this entire engagement over for Laser Kittens. And although Zebosai's Ana, we've seen him previously get picked by triple DPS dives in the past, he's being well protected and he's taking control of himself as well, taking his fate into his own hands with a couple of these outplays.
Yeah, and they're really starting to build up their ultimate bank on the side of Misfits. They've already got 2 in tow, but they're working their way up to 3 more as we do have the charge coming out. Now we do have Nevix with that Nano Blade. He's already helped clean up Winghaven and even finds Kib there with the 3rd kill onto Spazzo. Great job coming up from him before finally going down to a direct rocket.
Zebosai died really early on in the fight, actually, so as these tanks take damage, they've got nobody to particularly heal them up. Manhattan's going to be demeched, and Reinforce was forced to use his Primal Rage, but they're going to keep control of the point, and that's the name of the game, especially on these kind of Nepal maps where it's so difficult to retake. And it can be difficult on this map as well, and now they're kind of in one and done territory. They'll probably flip it at this point here, Laser Kittens, but then Misfits again have a huge amount of time to work with.
Yeah, they are currently in a power trough. No ultimates to work with quite yet. As the Transcendence does come out from Gray, it's going to be Kib that gets that first kill onto Zave. Now they're on for more. They do have that Transcendence keeping everyone topped off right now as Gray, once he popped out of it, he was able to get that kill onto Reinforce. Now Kib, there we go, connects with that last shuriken onto Nevix. We'll be able to take him out, but they had to use 3 ultimates there. Try and get that team fight. 2 ultimates there to get that team fight. At this point, Misfits looking in great shape. They can go in for one more push, try and bait out the sound barrier that is coming up on the side of Laser Kittens, along with that barrage.
Yeah, they can just use the sound barriers to reply, actually, and then try and use a couple of their other ultimates. Oh, Krems with the rocket barrage up top. Nevix deals with that one along with Reinforce. That was nice reaction, and they're finding individual picks. Sound barrier popped. Spazzo's got his. Is he going to be able to pop it just at the end there? But he's going to get taken out with that focus fire almost immediately, and the sound barrier didn't even get onto anybody else.
Yeah, now they're just cleaning up the final stragglers here. Nest swapping off onto Tracer, just trying to get onto this point, but Misfits 99%. It's in overtime. They're going to cap the 2nd point. No problem. Now they are 1 point away from taking Nepal here up against Laser Kittens.
And it's just clinical, you know, they're playing this optimally, like I was talking about before. They use their ultimates in the fight just before they get up to the timer where they're in single flip territory, one and done. And then they know that they're going to have to force ultimates out as they give control of the point over. They pop 2, that's Laser Kittens pop 2 into Misfits. Misfits see the point, give it up, and then retake it with their ultimate bank, and it's clinical. They're in control the whole time, even when they're losing team fights.
All right, so we're moving on to Shrine for our 3rd point here. Looks like we've got largely Yeah, just mirrored compositions coming out. The triple DPS dive composition, which we've been seeing very prevalently here in the Overwatch PIT Championships. Now already Winghaven pushing forward with that. Winston so far is facing off against 3 members. He's on the hunt for Zebasai. It's going to be his Kib that cleans that up, but that's Ana for an Ana, and now things going in favor of Misfits as Winghaven trying his best to clean up Nevix. He will get that, but Reinforce with a punch to the face will take him out. Now it's real back and forth as Nesh is answering with that Tracer, but he's dropping low. He will get cleaned up by Tavik.
Reinforce is doing work as well. He's managed to stay alive for so long, playing around these bubbles. Because Winston did get a bit of a buff recently, where your bubble cooldowns just based on when you plant it rather than when it ends. But his survivability has been great so far. It's real improvement from this guy on Winston, because it used to be a bit of a liability for him.
Now, 1-for-1 trade as Nesh get that kill onto Nevix, but Tavik is starting to put in work in that Tracer. He does have that pulse bomb at the ready he'll have for the next team fight. It's just Nesh stalling on the point, but you should try to give yourself away. There we go. Kib even going to be the final person to go down. He's going to deflect. I don't know why he's stalling for this long.
Yeah, that's just going to delay his spawn for a little bit. He's got the Dragon Blade up for the next fight. They're not going to have a support ultimate to try and sync with it, whereas Xavi's got the sound barrier on the other side, so if he just tries to use a naked Dragon Blade here, it's probably just going to get eaten up or focused down.
We've also got that Primal Rage for Reinforce there. Both of the 76s on track to have their ultimates around the same time. It's going to be the Dragon Blade coming out. Kim, unfortunately, getting kited by Zebasai here. It looks like he'll finally be able to clean him up. It's going to be a 2-for-2 trade. Now, we do have Laserkins on the point right now. And Kib cleaning up Zave, starting to turn things in the favor of Laserkins.
Eventually there, Winghaven was also getting kited to hell and back by Maniton, who gave him the jukes with the Soldier 76. Reinforce has popped up his own, but he's getting focused down incredibly hard.
Now Reinforce will be able to clean that up with that Primal Rage. We've got the Tactical Visor coming out from Krems. Unfortunately, he did not get that nano, so he will go down pretty quickly. Now, Misfits did not give up that point. It's just Nesh alive. He's going to go ahead and back away.
Yeah, a lot of ultimates expended as well. This is going to be insanely difficult for Laserkins to get back into the round, and they're already 2-0 down on Nepal, so this is going to be the map if they're not able to get back into it, and there's nothing for them apart from the pulse bomb, which he uses, doesn't find anything with, and Spazzo with the sound barrier. They have to make this work.
Yeah, they have to, but there are already 2 members down. Madison trying his best to keep this alive, but Nevix getting those resets, gets the kill onto Krems, and now he's on the hunt for Kib. He has to drop down for that mega health pack, but on the points, going to be Reinforced, getting that kill onto Spazzo. Overtime ticking down. They're able to keep it alive for now as Nesh makes it back into this fight. He has to use that recall, so this is his final opportunity. He will be able to make it onto the point, but there's 4 members here trying to focus him down. He even gets slept, but that does buy enough time for Winghaven to try and jump on, but overtime timers just not working out for them.
And that's a real clean victory on Nepal for Misfits. They played better in all 3 of the stages. They outplayed Laserkins. And this is a map as well that has been looking shaky for Misfits. It was a map that Zebasai looked a little weak on Ana. It showed absolutely no sign of that today. It was a map that in general their teamwork looked a little shaky on. They didn't know quite how to deal with the divers. And they showed no sign of that today again. They have been playing pretty much textbook Overwatch so far.
Yep, so they're going to go ahead and walk away with an early lead, now up 1-0 against Laserkins. This is the last quarterfinal match in the European group play. It is double elimination, so if Laserkins drops the next match, they're not going to be out, or the next map, they're not going to be out of it. They're just going to be knocked down to the losers bracket, where they'll be meeting up with, I believe, Dignitas, who had lost our first match of the day. So now we're just waiting on Laserkins to pick their next map. And what do you think they're going to pick, Sideshow?
Well, I would have said they would pick Nepal if they'd lost any other map. The map pool for them is Lijiang, Route 66, Kings Row, or Hanamura. They've looked good on Hanamura, so I definitely wouldn't pick that. Maybe they want to try their hand at another control map and try Lijiang, but the Misfits honestly looked really clinical there. So if I was them, I might just try and take them to Kings Row. Just try some like bread and butter map that you both know, and maybe you can get the edge on them.
But looks like we're going to Lijiang with Gray picking that out, and so we're getting close to our second map, and Misfits looking real good so far. And Li Zhang, another one of those maps where triple DPS dive composition is pretty darn prevalent, and we'll probably see that for the majority of it as soon as we get into this game. Right now, Misfits in a great spot. Everyone on the side of Misfits just looking fantastic. Reinforces Ryan play, and his Winston play has been stellar so far.
Yeah, it really has, and it has been ever since he joined the team. But there was definitely a period where he wasn't as good as he is now. You know, when the team first formed with this Swedish lineup, I feel like his Winston play in particular has improved since then, but so has his Ryan. He used to play on the old Rogue. He used to play a very aggressive Reinhardt and an incredibly aggressive to the point of just being like a sacrifice, a suicidal kind of Winston, where he would just try and dive and make space, but wouldn't be able to really keep himself alive. And he bought room for the rest of his team, but he wasn't having as much impact as he possibly could. But he's really worked on that, it seems, and he's coming up with a whole new level. He's looking like a really, really solid tank in the games that we've seen so far, outclassing a lot of his direct opponents.
I think we're just waiting on our admins at this point to get this readied up. But yeah, this Misfit squad, I think when that three-way team swap was getting called out, I thought Misfits walked away with probably the best deal out of that swap. And they're looking in good form right now. I believe they're still getting the rest of their players into the US. A lot of them still playing over at Europe right now, but very shortly, I believe they're moving down to Miami within the next month or so, as we do load into Li Zhang here for our second map between Laser Kittens and Misfits.
Yeah. I think actually they discussed the fact that they were going to the NA and said that they weren't going to for the moment in terms of just to practice, you know, just to play tournaments. But if they got an invite to something big, for example, the Overwatch League, they would obviously move. Like if they're able to get a spot over there. But I don't think it's the situation. I could be wrong, but I don't think it's a situation like Rogue or Envious where they're actually just planning to, or like FaZe, where they're planning to move over there and become what the community refers to as an NA team, basically a team living in North America.
Yeah, that North American team drain going on, where the majority of the European teams have already made their transition on over.
That's true.
LG.
We miss them very much.
Yeah, I believe LG. Who else? Envious, of course, like you had mentioned. And
Rogue
I believe
as well.
Rogue have already moved into the Las Vegas house for the most part.
Yeah, they have. They're absolutely crushing the North American scene at the moment, as well as in PIT Championships, which I believe they're playing in tonight as well. They're playing in the North American one. But for now, we've got our game in the European portion.
Yeah, and so we are loaded onto the control center here, and it looks like a little bit of a difference coming on. Nevix is going to be popping out this Cowboy, as he does get jumped on by Winghaven, has to deal with this barrier for now. He's going to go ahead and right-click that down, getting hunted down by Kib. He will survive for now, but take a look at this pick coming out. Gray with a double kill on this Sombra.
Yeah, this is incredibly interesting. I wonder whether... I mean, both of the teams have gone with a composition here that's like... It's either a pocket pick for them or a direct counter. I think Nevix was hoping it would be a direct counter into their Tracer and Genji, and they're expecting to play a more solid 2-2-2 composition with him getting the picks on players that go in too aggressively. But this Grey Sombra pick really switched things up for them.
I really do like Sombra on this point in particular. There just aren't enough walls really to try and block that hack, but Tavik opens it up, getting that kill onto Winghaven.
Grey is already at 90% EMP on this point, very deathbally. The composition very deathbally as well, so if they can get picks, Reinforce going really weak as well as Krems takes that. EMP used as well as they try and get the picks onto Zave. Is he going to be able to fall? He's just staying alive just to the end. He's so weak as well, but it is going to be Laser Kittenz staying in control. They win the team fight, flip the point, 30%.
Yeah, Misfits only able to get about 8% there on the board. Krems already pushing forward. He's got that tactical visor at the ready now, and now he's positioning to go up top. Hasn't been spotted out quite yet, so this might really catch out Misfits.
Yeah, he's just going to be aiming to build that up, and he is playing into a reasonably tanky composition from Misfits, so he can build a lot of that from Manhattan and Reinforce. And Manhattan and Nevix are looking to try and shut down Kib instead. He's taking the nano boost, diving onto the back line, focusing down Spazzo, but hasn't really found anything, and in the meantime, 3 players on Misfits have fallen.
Yeah, 2 members already down. That's going to be a third with Krems cleaning up. Manitin Tavik is finally able to answer on back, but it's not going to be quite enough. He's already down to low HP. He's going to commit that recall there, but it's still point in favor of Laser Kittens now.
This is actually an insane clash of matchups. I don't know what to feel about this. The solo support Sombra is actually getting a lot done against this lineup from Misfits. They don't know how to react to it. They don't know who to focus.
Yeah, we do have the sound barrier getting popped by Misfits here, but already Laserkins are cleaning up. Nesh with that Dragon Blade found 1 kill onto Zebasai. That was a huge pickoff for them. Primal Rage is going to get committed by Manitin here, but he's just delaying the inevitable as he should be going down 98, 99% on the board. It is in overtime for now, but it's going to be very difficult for Tavik to stay alive, and immediately goes down to Gray.
Nevik's just going to be able to touch the point again as he goes onto his own Sombra, but no chance to build these things up. Zebasai and Reinforce on the point, but he's been stuck with a pulse bomb, and Reinforce is going to go down. That's the last tanky target on the point deleted, and Misfits are going to fall in this first round of Li Jiang. What a home strategy here. Now we realize why they picked Li Jiang.
Yeah, this pocket strat really paying off for them there, and I do like that solo support Sombra style. We've seen it before, I think primarily in like Apex, where teams have tried to run it on like defensive Volskaya.
Yeah, the
and
Chinese
it didn't really
teams
work
run
out.
it a lot as well.
Oh yeah.
If you go and look at the Chinese teams or like the Overwatch Premier Series, Pacific Championship that's going on at the moment, a lot of Sombra use. I feel like it's something that the Western scene hasn't really figured out how to maximize at the moment. China's always played with it though, even when it was terrible. So maybe you don't read too much into that, but they're certainly making it work here.
Yeah, I believe they really pulled it out on Oasis from some of the Chinese teams that I saw, and worked out pretty darn well, especially on University. Yeah, University, where you can control that middle health pack, and so your tanks just jump on down. They play the Diva Winston, and they just jump on down, get healed up for 200, and get right back into the fight.
Gray's actually switched over to Ana here. He was thinking of coming out on the Sombra again, but now they've gone back to their triple DPS with Ana dive, and I think that's gonna they're gonna lose a little bit of the. It's just the surprise factor that's coming out, and I think Misfits was still dealing with it, and now they're back on even footing. They know what they're coming up against.
Yep. Night Market in particular, not the best for Sombra. There's lots of ways for people to like break the line of sight, so the EMP generally doesn't get as much value. Also, there aren't as many mega health packs to try and play around and hack. There's only the minis all around the point.
But for now, it's still Laser Kittens that stay in control of the point. Nesh doing a lot of work, actually. Already up to 80%. That's the same for all 3 of the DPS players over on Laser Kittens, putting out a huge amount of damage into the rest of the Misfits team. And Misfits are running their own triple DPS. We'll see how that works on.
Alright, Nesh along with Winghaven in the back line. Winghaven taking a short little nap, but Kib is going to be there to help him clean up some kills. But on the opposite end, Nevix now starting to get 3 kills. That's going to be a 4th with the reset. Misfits fighting on back. They are onto the point. No one there to quite contest until Nesh gets on there. Pulse Bomb comes out. They are going to be able to juke him, but Manitin dropping low. He will go down to Kib.
They've got 4 ults online, and Zebasai's Nano Boost is about to come out as well. They find the pick onto Gray really early on, so this fight, they might not even have to expend any. Oh, Nevix with the dash resets just straight through Krems and Spazzo, finishing him off, gets a pick on a Winghaven as well. This team has started rolling now.
Alright, so only 36% on the board for Laserkins before they were flipped. Now, look at all the ultimates on the side of Misfits. They've got 5 ready. Zave's almost got his sound barrier there. They're looking in great shape for this hold.
It's going to be an exercise in ult economy, trying to win the fight whilst using the least possible, but Beak's death is not going to help them out in that situation. Ult's used as well as Manitin and Zebasai pair up for a tactical visor. It's Nevix who finishes off the kills. They're going to be able to block this point as well. It's just a sneaky little tracer from Nesh. Delaying, forcing their attention back to the objective. Oh, there's a fire alarm going off.
Oh no.
Don't worry, I won't burn down Jameson.
Well, we got the two players on fire, Reinforce and Nevix. Nevix now just getting extinguished, but he's been doing such a great job on this Genji so far. I believe in the last 2 team fights he contributed onto like 7 or 8 final blows. He's got that Dragon Blade now immediately on top of Crimson with the help of Tvik will clean that up. Now he finds this Ana, but it's also Tvik with that Tracer cleaning up to himself.
They've used these ultimates really well, and there's only a couple of players left alive. This primal range from Winghaven, not going to find much value, I don't think. He's just using the last dregs of it to get inside, but could well give his life away if he extends in too far. It's actually Nesh who dies first. Oh, and this primal range is going to do a huge amount of damage, I think. Gets put to sleep, Reinforce, but back alive, and just battering everybody back, making sure that they tick up into the 90s without being contested.
Yeah, they have to just run onto this point haphazardly now. There can't be any delays as we do actually have Nesh. It looked like he was able to sneak on by. Nice sleep dart coming out as Krems is going to go ahead and use that tactical visor, but he's going to go down immediately to Nevix, and this duo DPS combo, Tvik and Nevix, have been doing so much work on the side. Now Nesh, though, starting to come alive. He was the man on the point that entire time, and Kib will be able to help him clean that up. Nevix just trying to stall out for now. He should back off, though. They've already got 99%. Don't need to delay any longer.
Yeah, their ultimates are not great, though, on the side of Misfits. They're going to have a Nano Visor active, but that's the only thing that they really have until a late-game fight. So they've got to force out the Sound Barrier and the Dragon Blade and somehow survive. They need some early picks.
Yeah, Spazzle has that Sound Barrier at the ready too, while Kib just looking for his opening. Sound Barrier is going to come out on the side of Laser Kittens, but for the most part, they've just backed off on Misfits. Now Manton's going to push forward. He's got that Nano Visor at the ready, but Winghaven just trying his best to disrupt him. He will finally go down to that Helix Rocket, and now Manton starting to clean up with the help of Nevix.
Oh, Winghaven got absolutely melted there by the Nano Visor. Manton finishing him off with a Pulse Rocket to the face, and I don't think anyone's in position to be able to block this. It's going to be Misfits tying it up at 1-1. And maybe Laser Kittens are now rethinking the fact that they went back to a standard composition. As you said, it's not great on Night Market, but maybe they'll be able to make it work on Garden.
Garden, depending upon where you hold, I believe there's the Mega by the ledge, and then you've got the Mini you can work with. It's very difficult to try and run that Sombra. Like, one of the major issues you have to deal with the Sombra is just positioning on your EMP, and this is one of those points where your positioning is absolutely crucial if you're going to try and bust out a huge EMP. There's just so many ways you can break line of sight, especially if you fight on point. You've got that huge pillar right in the middle that can basically just shut down an EMP itself.
Yeah, definitely difficult for them. Both of these teams sticking to the Ana. Kind of interesting that Zebasai stayed on it rather than going over to Zen, which he was playing a lot of last time they were playing these kind of maps.
We are going to see Faros coming out from both ends. It's going to be great. I get that first kill onto Reinforce. Now the bulk of that composition getting taken out, but both Reinhardts are going to go down. It's going to be Krems getting the kill onto Zebasai, though. That should swing things in favor of Laserkins as Nesh finds that kill onto Zave. Both Faros for the most part in the skies going relatively ineffective, and it's going to be Tvik getting cleaned up by Gray there. Now the point has unlocked. It's still getting fought over right now as Nesh is starting to clean up. They're going to back away on the side of Misfits to reset.
Pharah against Pharah is such an interesting matchup because it's kind of like Tracer v Tracer in that the two DPS players really have to fight each other if they run into each other, except that the Pharahs can just pick when they fight because they're just in the air, so they don't have to deal with anybody else if they don't want to. Kib can just engage Tvik and take him out of the fight the whole time just by tying him up.
Yeah, we're seeing the swap off coming out on the side of Misfits to try and deal with it. 1-for-1 trade. Grave for Zave. Pulse Bomb did come out, but didn't quite connect. Now Nevix does have that Dragon Blade at the ready, but Winghaven finding 2 kills. It's going to be Nevix that is able to clean him up, and now Tvik will get D-Mech here shortly go down. Now Nevix still kiting around in the back. He's actually just going to go ahead and reset himself so that Misfits can have another team fight.
I wonder if they're going to commit to this D.Va Tracer, because normally it's the other way around. If they're going to play this composition, it's Manhattan on the D.Va and Tweak on the Tracer. Now Manhattan's Tracer is pretty good, but I'm not too sure about Tweak's D.Va. I certainly haven't seen it, but he has a hugely deep hero pool, so he definitely could pull it out. We might see a switch at some point.
Dragon Blade comes out, but on the opposite end, it's going to be Krems with that Nano Visor. He is getting challenged by Reinforce. Reinforce will go down. And right now, Laser Kittenz in a really great spot, 63% on the board. Winghaven, he's gonna have that Primal Rage to stall out on the point if he has to, or if they even try to approach from bridge, just go for those environmental kills.
They can't get in a position where they're able to get onto them here, Misfits. They're taking the route around the left, reinforced with a super deep bomb. It's Boostio!
That is really unfortunate as Winghaven, as Reinforced really wanted to be the recipient of that as he was trying to get into the back line. Nesh getting that kill onto Zebasai though. Sound barrier does come out on the side of, no, Spazzo actually went down before he could actually pop it off.
Well, that could turn things around here because his team were definitely expecting it. They had pushed forward and they wanted the extra health. Kib's still on the Pharah, trying to get a decent angle in, but the rest of his team's dying all around the place and he can't really engage. Falls straight into the sightline of Reinforced Maniton. Pharah's taking down a lot of damage removed, but Spazzo's back with his ultimate.
And Nesh with some real good discipline there. He wanted to go for that pulse bomb, but the D.Va with the defense matrix will go ahead and shut him down. They're just going to go ahead and reset on the side of Laserkins. They've got 3 ultimates ready to work with. That Nano might go onto Winghaven just early. It's going to be a while before Krems can build up that tactical visor for them to work with. But on the side of Misfits, they don't have much by that sound barrier, which they've already committed.
Nano boost used onto Winghaven as well on the Winston. He's trying to do damage to anybody he can. Reinforce the first pick. Nevic's weak as well. And if they can take Nevic's out, he won't be able to build up to his Dragon Blade. Not able to get it. He's gone down. They've still got a tactical visor to work with as well. And this flip seems likely.
Yeah, here's a tactical visor. It did go into that defense matrix, and he's looking for the kills. It's going to be Kib with that barrage just to clean things up. It's still in Misfits' favor on the point right now, but shortly, as the defense comes in, they're trickling in. Nevix once again getting shut down. Kib will be able to get that kill, and now it's going to be Laserkins getting the second point here on Li Zhang. No, another contest coming out as the D.Va was able to stall for now. To Vic is going to be the person there, but Reinforced, he's got that Primal Rage to work with if he wants to try and stall this out for any longer.
Dragon Blade coming out from Nevix as well, but instantly focused down. He manages to take Spazzo out of the equation and Primal Rage in. He's going to be the last player on the point though. The rest of his team need to get in a position where they can start to grab a few kills maybe.
Zave is there.
They're just being allowed in.
Yeah, Zave's there. They're just going to go ahead and back off. And so a lot of time committed there, but they were finally able to get it. Now, once again, we do have Reinforced. He does have to drop back. He's dropped a bit low. Zebasai will be able to clean him up. A great nade coming in from Gray there.
Peak debuff, but he hasn't been taken out of his suit just yet. Playing aggressively into the enemy team. Reinforced has died, so he's the only tank left in the lineup. He's at 90% of his self-destruct, but that's not going to help him because he's been demeched. Xavi and Nevix already fallen. At this point, about to flip. Overtime, nobody there. This one is going to go the way of Laser Kittens, and they take a 2-1 lead.
Ooh, things looking pretty scary on the side of Misfits here. I mean, if this goes back to Control Center, they didn't really have an answer for that Sombra. So
Dice.
Yeah, this is the roll of the dice at this point. It is going to go to Night Market, though. And so this was the point that Misfits were able to win, and they won it pretty handedly.
They did, yeah. They were completely in control of this one. If they manage to tie it up 2-2, that makes it 50-50 that we're going to be going over to Control Center again. See if they win the coin flip this time, I guess. But I don't think you can write Laser Kittens completely out of this as well. It was just that Misfits got a snowball rolling once they were managed to retake the point, but they lost the early fight, and if they start these ultimates building, it can be pretty deadly. It was just that Feek and Nevix played out their minds the last time they were on Night Market.
Yeah, I think they contributed to about like 90% of the kills throughout the entirety of Night Market here, and we're seeing Laserkins actually approaching from the right-hand side. They're going to go ahead and take the ledge and immediately make their way onto the point. They're all the way in the back now. Kib and Nesh pushing forward as Zebasai was the first to go down here. They're going to go ahead and find a second kill onto Maniton before Nesh finally goes down.
They're in control now. Maniton falling takes a lot of damage out of it, and Tweak blinks his way out of there. He doesn't want any part of that. Laser Kitten's in control of the point to begin, as we saw last time, but Misfits were quick to respond when we saw them play this previously.
Sleep Dart did connect onto Winghaven, but they didn't have anything to really follow up with that, as Reinforce is going to try to find an opportunity to get in. It's going to be Winghaven that actually gets that first kill onto Zebasai. Now things starting to snowball in favor of Laserkins as Krems finds that kill onto Reinforce, and collateral damage onto Nevix will clean him up. Even gets to Vic there, doesn't allow him to just reset on his own.
Comparing this to their performance on Nepal, it's definitely a slip in form from Misfits. Probably because they haven't practiced the map as much as they have Nepal. I imagine that they've worked on Nepal recently because they were losing games on it. And they don't look like they have as cohesive a plan or teamwork. There's a lot of different flank angles as well on these maps.
Yeah, it looks like there's a lot more interest being put onto Nevix and Tavik here, but as I say that, Maniton's starting to open up. That's 2 kills for him. That's going to open up the point for Misfits to finally flip it on back, but Laserkins were able to get 52 points there.
And they've got the Nano Visor or the Nano Blade as options to come into this next one with the Primal Rage as well. Lots of ultimates though on the board of Misfits, so this is going to be a big showdown.
Yeah, Krems immediately shutting down Maniton, who was trying to use his Tactical Visor, but luckily for him, he was able to get it refunded. And now we do have Reinforce on the point with that Primal Rage, trying to delay for as long as he can. But Winghaven with that kill onto Tavik. They shouldn't be on the point for too long, as Zabe will go down too. Reinforce just trying to delay for as long as he can, along with Nevix there, but they will get cleaned up. And so, with Krems finally going down, that's the only kill they're going to get on the point, as Laserkins do flip it on back in their favor.
Only one ult used there from Misfits, just a delay for a small amount of time, and 2 fairly crucial ults used there from the side of the Laserkins as well, so there's potential to recontest. The Dragon Blade is used, instantly put to sleep.
Yeah, great with a great sleep dart, and we saw actually on this point there were so many sleep darts getting landed as Kib pushes forward. He used his own Dragon Blade. Now Nevix though, really opening up once again. It's gonna be Tavik helping him get that kill onto Gray. Now they're starting to push forward, but Kib getting the better of that ninja battle.
He's coming alive. Kib previously has had really good games on Genji. Obviously a very talented individual player on Genji. Hasn't really had that much of an impact this series so far. He's put in a reasonable performance, but he does have the ability to carry gets put to sleep over there, and Zebasai's gonna almost destroy him. A swift strike from Nevix finishes the job.
Yeah, Nevix now on to Krems here. Krems trying his best to juke out, but Nevix will be able to land that right click along with the melee to clean him up. It's at 99% in overtime right now, as Misfits are trying their best to fight back into this. Reinforce will even commit that Primal Rage into it. I mean, at this point, you just have to use whatever ultis you can.
Yeah, I don't think that was actually necessary though at all. He didn't hit anybody with the Primal Rage as far as I can tell, and it's not like he needed the added survivability or DPS or whatever he was going for there. I think that might have just been a little miscalculation from Reinforce. And now there's going to be a lot of ultimates up. They've got their Nano Visor again coming out from Crimson Grey, and they've been really good at getting value out of that series of ultimates so far.
Yeah, Reinforce jumping right into the back line. He gets immediately put to sleep. That's going to buy Krems enough time to try and get that Nano Visor, but no. Nevix immediately shuts it down with that Dragon Blade before he goes down, but Tavik is still lighting up this kill feed so far with the help of Maniton and Reinforce. They're going to force them back, and so looks like it'll just come down to one final team fight here.
That was perfect target selection from Misfits. They knew exactly who had the impactful ults, dived straight onto them with Reinforce and Tvik, and then Nevix uses his Dragon Blade as well. Instant picks on the Crimson Grey. They need to do a similar thing, but they popped it immediately out. Nano Visor on the Krems, picks up 2, Maniton and Zevix. All of this damage removed, and Zebasai down as well. Oh, they have absolutely wiped the floor with Misfits there. They knew exactly what they had to do and executed so immediately.
Yeah, Misfits definitely not ready for that Blitzkrieg at that point. It just came out of nowhere, really, from the angle that I was looking at. And so, that is going to be Laserkins tying it up 1-1 against Misfits.
That's a great performance from them on Lijiang. It was a story of 2 different King of the Hill maps, for sure. On Nepal, Misfits have a plan for every stage. They look really coordinated, very together. And on this map, we saw a pocket pick coming out from the Laser Kittens on the control center to give them the early victory and kind of put Misfits on the back foot. And then went toe-to-toe with them, and Misfits kind of slipping in terms of their coordination and having a strategy and target selection for every fight.
All right, so if you're Misfits with the remaining map pool, where would you like to... Never mind, Reinforce already answered my question. We're going to King's Row, and they're going to be starting off on the defensive side.
See, that is actually interesting, because previously in this tournament, when they lost, I believe they went to Hanamura every time. I could be wrong. I haven't just looked that up. That was my memory. But I am pretty sure that's what happened, because I remember seeing them on Hanamura defense repeatedly. So I'm kind of surprised that they chose to go over to King's Row here. See if I can think of any reason why they would not want to. I can't think of one particularly, other than they think they're a better team pound for pound, and they just want to kind of trash them in terms of a map that everybody's comfortable with, and they know they can get a snowball rolling. You know, maybe both of them would have been perfectly fine.
All right, and we are immediately underway, loading onto King's Row right now. This is going to be the decider map between Laser Kittens and Misfits here. Remember, this is just the final quarterfinals match. The loser just gets dropped down to the lower bracket, so they're not out of it quite yet because it is double elimination.
It is, and the loser here is going to go and face Dignitas, and that will be an elimination match. And Dignitas are a fairly formidable team. They didn't quite show it there against the United in our previous series of the day, but they've got the talent on their roster, and it's going to be a difficult game for whichever team ends up going down there. Of course, they would not be the favorites. Both of these two teams, well, they would be the favorites, I think, against Laser Kittens, but so far, Laser Kittens have actually put up a really decent showing. They're living up to the kind of rivalry that they were playing up at the beginning of their formation.
Yeah, I remember Alicus, or I just saw Alicus tweeting out before this match that, hey, I'm facing off against my old team here, so... I mean, there is some history between these two teams at this point, and with how sparse the European what am I looking for? Why am I blanking on this word?
Like the pool, the depth of teams. Is that what you're on about?
No, competition. European, yeah, how sparse the competition is. Like this match is very important.
Yeah, definitely. Laser Kittens are going over to. What do you call it? Boot camp in Korea right after this as well. So that'll be interesting to see whether this team continues to develop or whether they hit some kind of peak. But for the moment, they look like they're getting better and better and beginning to craft various strategies on maps that favor them. See how they do on King's Row.
Alright, so now we've got different approaches here. It looks like it is going to be a 2-2-2 coming up from both sides, with the DPSs and the tanks differing quite heavily.
Yeah, very heavily. Cell plus composition coming out from Laser Kittens, but they don't play it as aggressively. It does fit in well to their individual hero pools, though, and immediately Grems and Cray have taken control of that top right ground. They'll have to pressure down Reinforce, though, and he dies immediately.
Yeah, now without that shield there, Krems is just getting free damage off. It's going to be Winghaven getting 2 kills there, as we do have Tavik trying his best to deal with these high ground control coming out from Laser Kittens right now, but it's all going over in favor of Laser Kittens as they are just cleaning up one by one. Tavik even tries his hand at delaying, but he will go down, and that's going to be the first team fight going in favor of Laser Kittens along with point A. There is an opportunity for Misfits to try and contest, but it doesn't look like they're getting in a position to do that.
I think one of the problems there was that they immediately took the risk and put Nevix over on the McCree, expecting some kind of dive composition, I assume, because he wasn't playing aggressively into Winghaven, which gives him the advantage against this composition. Instead, he was playing back and playing with his supports, but they weren't getting dived, they were just picking off the front line, and they won that fight fairly handedly. With all of the damage and Krems and Grey up on the high ground, they couldn't really defend, but this is a nice, aggressive defense coming out, delaying, seeing if they can get a wipe. Oh, Nana boost into the Earth Shatter, coming out from Winghaven. He gets pinned all the way to the back of the map, into this house.
Yeah, Kid's going to go ahead and shut down the Nanoblade himself, but he's starting to get focused down. He's purple and is going to be able to heal up. It's going to be Madison's that cleans that up. Now it's Krems coming back onto the point. He's able to hold on to that tactical visor, and so they're going to be able to make good headway with this payload here in the streets phase on King's Row.
Again, haven't seen particularly that much impact from Nevix. He's clearly been hitting a couple of shots because his ultimate charge is almost ready on that Deadeye, but I feel like he would have been more effective at this point on something like the Tracer or the Soldier 76 along with this composition. Instead, still on that McCree, wants to get some value out of the Deadeye, it seems, and it's a fairly decent choice to run into Winghaven if he's trying to get the better end of this frontline battle by helping them with flashbang.
Oh, hammer down comes out from Reinforce, but they're not able to follow up. Kib is just going to be able to disengage with that whole hog as Nesh gets that first kill onto Reinforce. You've even got the flanking Krems with that tactical visor. It's going to be Spazzo that gets the kill onto Nevix though. Charge comes out, doesn't quite connect from Winghaven, but doesn't matter as they're just cleaning up. Matatin will go down. Winghaven just swinging on him. Now going uncontested for the most part here. They are going to be able to get this checkpoint. Doesn't look like Misfits want to try and contest this.
Yeah, and they're still sticking with the McCree and Genji, and this composition hasn't been working for them so far. They've definitely got the ultimates up so they can expend it and then switch if they want to. Nevix went for the play there when Reinforce had that whiff on the Earth Shatter. He was trying to get the flashbang over and then land a meaty Earth Shatter, but Winghaven dodging in with the shield, and that the Graviton Surge there is just going to clean this fight up in favor of Misfits.
Yeah, we still have Nesh in the back line here, just trying to be as annoying as possible. Build up towards that pulse bomb a little bit sooner, so he's gonna have it at the ready in the next team fight. Winghaven once again with that Earth Shatter at the ready. So Reinforce is just gonna have to do his best to try and predict it as they start pushing forward on the side of Laser Kittens.
Misfits can hold fairly far up here. They've got the Nano Blade to try and work with, buy time for the rest of their ultimates. Twig's going to use that one really aggressively. Takes the Zarya Bubble as well. Already both of their supports taken immediately out of the equation. An Earth Shatter was used there as well from Winghaven, but didn't find anything. Kib, though, picking up 2. That might allow them to engage with their faster spawns.
Oh yes, most definitely. As you see, they're already starting to back away just a little bit on the side of Misfits here, giving them some ground. The payload is starting to get pushed around that bend now. Nesh doesn't have that pulse bomb, but it is a tracer. He's working his way around the side, but Tavik does spot him out, and now he's just trying to go for this battle in the back line.
Nesh zipping around, seeing if he can find individual targets. Reinforce goes for the Earth Shatter, but gets hooked off the side of the cliff, falling down into the depths of London town.
Madison also getting slept and then booped off by Spazzo there. So now, great shape for Laserkins as they have 3 minutes and 20 seconds to try and finish out this map, and they are really chugging along here. We do have Misfits regrouping in their spawn. They don't want to trickle out here for this final try at their defense.
Well, they have to get onto the cards. Vic just gets down there in time. Reinforces taking the Zarya Bubble. The huge biotic grenade there onto both. 3 of them. Nevix picks out Spazzo, but Kib drops another player into the pit. Manitan again here. And this fight still brawling for both teams.
Damage might have been done though, as the Dragon Blade is going to come out from Tavik here. He's already gotten the kill onto Kremza. Once again, Gray landing a great sleep dart here. We'll take him out of the equation for now, but that's going to force them back.
Now that they can push up a little bit more with the defense, they've got the Graviton and the Sound Barrier for the defensive team here. Spazzo has his own Sound Barrier to work with, and they're going to be close to the Earth Shatter and the Nano Visor if they need to work these things. They can string them together and they don't just blast them all at once. They wait to get value out of them. Laser Kittens are have a good opportunity to cap within the next 2 minutes.
We have 2 minutes and about 5 seconds to work with here. Winghaven just pushing forward. He's looking for that opportunity. Reinforce doesn't have his Earth Shatter yet, but he's expecting it on the other end. And Madison just able to jump into the back line there. Gets a great Graviton Surge, but Sound Barrier does come out. It's going to be Nevix coming in with that high noon, with that Deadeye. They're going to be able to clean up. That's 3 kills going on over for Nevix. And Tavik now on the hunt for this Lucio. Should be able to get it. There we go. One final right click will get that kill, and take a look at Reinforce's positioning.
Yeah, very sneaky. He's got the Earth Shatter. Not sure why Zavik used the Sound Barrier though. Maybe I didn't see somebody who was about to die, somebody crucial, maybe Reinforce, but for the whole, is anyone going to check their corners? Nobody checks it at all. Great Krems down on the floor. Biotic Grenade hits them as well, and a Sleep Dart onto Winghaven. Should be able to pick out all 3 of those.
Alright, great play coming out from Reinforce there, and I really like how on the side of Misfits they committed to that, right? They made sure that no one was showing on inside the foundry, so it gave them a soft sense of security on the side of Laserkins there. They didn't check that angle. Reinforce was really able to bide his time there for that Earth Shatter.
That bought the time for the Nano Blade to come up again, so I expect Speed to go in, takes another bubble, see if he can get onto the back line, immediately takes down Gray. They're delaying a huge amount of time. Reflects a lot of the whole hog there that was popped out of Kib. And again, this is another team fight one in just impeccable ult economy now that they've got to the final end of the Foundry. And they are getting so much time off the clock. What looked like an excellent push for Laser Kittens is now desperation for them.
Yeah, a lot of ultimates committed on the side of Laserkins. They're trying to shut down to Vic. They use that whole hog. They even use that tactical visor. Now they don't have many good ultimate synergies to work with. There is that nano boost along with the sleep dart coming out. Winghaven's gonna get shut down here. He gets charged. He's purple. He tries to get it off, but he will be able to connect, but he goes down for his efforts. Now Nesh into the back line, but Manhattan just so high charged is able to melt them down. Graviton just to secure these final kills. Kib staying alive for now, but it's not gonna be long for this world as Nevix with that Deadeye just gonna try and zone them out for the last little bit there. Misfits will put a stop to Laserkins here in the Foundry.
Their composition definitely worked really well. As soon as they cleared them and were able to establish some position, and they didn't have to deal with high ground, they got into a nice swing of things. Really, really solid ultimate economy. They knew exactly what they needed to do with each push when they were on the defense. They knew which ultimates to commit. They knew what would be coming out from the other team as well, and therefore which targets to focus. And they had great synergy across the board in terms of their composition. Whenever Tweak's going in with his Nano Blade, and they're using the Ana so that he's got that, he's got the Zarya bubble from Manhattan as well, which a lot of teams have started moving away from, but it's so pivotal to avoid your Genji going down in that situation, being slept, CC'd, blown away by the whole hog, who knows what. And then they've got the Earth Shatter as well. That sneaky play from Reinforce works out. It was just a masterclass in being able to defend that final point. But the rest of it was not good from Misfits. So overall, they still set a reasonable distance from Laserkins, but they kind of fell flat at the end.
Yeah, we saw a lot of resources actually getting committed to Vic. Like, they thought he was a huge threat, and he generally is, especially if you have a Nano Blade. But I feel like Laserkins just committed way too much to try to shut him down. And we saw in one of those last engagements where they had to use, where they didn't have to, but they used the whole hog along with that tactical visor just to shut it down. But he had the deflect at the ready there. And so that was a great trade coming out from them. Allowed Reinforce, like you had said, to set up for that great flanking hidden Reinhardt Earth Shatter. Now it is going to be Misfits on the attacking end. On the defense, though, we do have that 2-2-2 coming out once again. It's going to be Laserkins with that Roadhog. It's going to be Kib picking that up, and Winghaven, of course, that second take, that Reinhardt for them. Tavik just going for that scatter arrow. I should be swapping off very soon back onto that Genji, and Nevix once again on that McCree.
That's interesting as well, because Nevix on the McCree worked well when they were in their final portion, but can't say he was doing much on the rest of the defense. But if he plays aggressively here, he's got a good opportunity to try and destroy their front line. For the moment though, and for the whole of this map, he's been playing with the backline and just trying to defend them from Nesh.
Yeah, and no real pressure applied to Krem, so Krem's just on the high ground here, getting free damage off as Tavik was able to get that kill onto Gray, and it's just trades going across the board. But Misfits looking like they are going to just go ahead and back off and regroup with the rest of the team. Krems has been forced off that high ground position for now, though, by Tavik.
The other thing is that I'm not really sure whether Nevix needs to play with the backline this much, and Ana and Lucio should be able to defend themselves from a Tracer a number of times, as long as they've got a bit of support. But Nevix seems to be playing very far back, and it's leaving his tank line a little exposed.
Great hook coming in from Kib. That's going to shut down Nevix as Tavik tries to jump onto Krems here. He does have that healing station to keep himself alive for now. Tavik dropped down to 18 HP. It's going to be Gray that actually cleans that up. Now, Winghaven still sitting on this Earth Shatter. That's going to be a great boon to the defense here as they do push back Misfits.
Got the Deadeye active, along with the Dragon Blade. Don't have any support ults to pair them with. And ults are starting to come online for the defending team here as well, so probably need to try taking a bit of a flanking route, wrap around either through Hotel or up top right and try and take some early position so that they're in a better position to use it.
Nevix missing that jump, but he will be able to regroup with his team very shortly here. Take a look at the positioning coming out. Nesh is already ready to try and get that flank against this team. We'll see if we can catch up to them right now. High ground, complete control coming out from Nevix. Nevix just waiting for them to expose themselves. The Tracer has dropped down now, so Nevix gonna go largely uncontested in the high ground. It is lined up on Kib. Kib will be able to dodge that for now as the sound barriers do come on out. Winghaven finally letting go of that Earth Shatter, but it's going to be reinforced. That comes up with a huge one. Now Manton cleaning up on that Zarya.
That was a nice flank from everybody on Misfits. They had the ultimates, they knew that they needed to get them into position, and the composition from Laser Kittenz there has no way of dealing with the high ground. Unless Crimson Grey are already up there and can try and contest you, it's a long way to flank around, especially if you're playing into the flashbang and the tank lineup. So they couldn't really contest Nevix when he's in that position, and couldn't contest the rest of the team as they just drop onto the point and take all of the position for free. So very cerebral rat play from Misfits.
Manton does have this Graviton Surge. They are starting to round the bend here, which can be very, very dangerous for them. But they are doing a better job at this point of falling back. But a great charge coming in, and now Manton pushing forward into the backline. He's high charged. He won't be able to commit those kills on to the supports, but the rest of the members of Laserkin's really caught out here. They're just going to get cleaned up one by one, and now it's just Spazzo and Gray trying to keep this alive. Gray caught out here. He's just going to go ahead and reset for his team, and now Misfits just making great time through the streets phase of King's Row.
Winghaven got outplayed there a little bit. This Zarya plus the Reinhardt gives them a lot more survivability in a lot of these situations, allows Reinforce to play more aggressively, can save him from the hooks as well, so they've got a lot more synergy than Kib and Winghaven have, even if Kib does have that explosive kind of pick and carry power if he hits the hooks.
Graviton Surge onto the two main tanks. Charge coming out from Winghaven. He's going to immediately get melted down. Taking a look at Manton right now. He's sitting on super high charge, forcing them back all on his lonesome. Kib is getting melted down. Great Earth Shatter coming out from Reinforce. Lands onto Nesh and Gray in the back, and they're just cleaning up and steamrolling as Manton with one final right click cleans up Spazzo.
They went to a triple tank composition, but Nesh hadn't built up enough energy to really contest, and his bubbles were a little bit off. And now they don't really have anybody to block the cart. They need to commit to it. They're so close. Oh, Kib's eventually going to get there, and they use the nano boost onto Winghaven. They've got players just around, but these picks all going the wrong way. Big Earth Shatter, though, catches Manhattan and Zave. Might be able to stabilize still on the defense.
It's going to be difficult. Winghaven dropping low, and now it's all down to Spazzo, but he does kite backwards, and it is going to be Misfits walking away with the W in this 2-1 victory.
It was very close from Lijiang Tower, and then when we saw Laser Kittenz begin on King's Row, it looked like they were having a fantastic time there as well, but Misfits showing that they are the better team overall, with a dominant display on Nepal, a fairly close game on Lijiang, and despite the end 3-0 scoreline. And then on King's Row, their attack was essentially not stopped at any point. You know, it took them a while to get in position to be able to take point A, but from there, they had the ultimates, they had the charge on Manhattan. Each player is playing individually very well. Nevix playing around the payload at that point once they get it moving and just start trucking, and they can't be stopped.
Yeah, and then that final snowball, that was just great. They caught out the Reinhardt, and once that wasn't there, Reinforce just had the easiest shatter of his life, connecting onto about 3 members, and Manhattan on super high charge, just melting everybody else there. So Misfits will be moving on to face off against E United for our 3rd match of the day. It's going to take place shortly after our break. I'm Jamerson. With me is Sideshow. This is the Overwatch PIT European playoffs. We'll be back after a short break, guys.